Well, as we've been reporting this week, Friday marks the 50th anniversary of the assassination of President John Kennedy, a man who brought youth and energy to the White House when he became president in 1961. He and First Lady Jackie Kennedy brought a sense of style and glamour that Washington had not seen before. Their time was termed the Age of Camelot, a reference to a hit Broadway musical, one of the president's favorites. Here's VOA's national correspondent Jim Malone now with another look at the Kennedy years.
President Kennedy and the First Lady venture from the White House.
January 1961. The new president and his First Lady emerge from the White House. And a new era begins in Washington known as the Age of Camelot. Author Thurston Clark has written extensively about the Kennedy years.
She was always extremely well dressed. The women loved to see her.
The public's fascination with Jackie Kennedy began during the presidential campaign.
I think politics is one of the most rewarding lives a woman can have, to be married to a politician. I think every woman wants to feel needed, and in politics you are.
But at times, she found public life a struggle.
She was somewhat secretive. She was elusive. She was like Kennedy. So she withheld herself from the public to a certain degree. And that's what made her so, I think, so appealing.
That appeal extended well beyond the United States. Jackie Kennedy became an international celebrity after she traveled with the president to Europe.
I am the man who accompanied Jacqueline Kennedy to Paris, and I've enjoyed it.
And she did charm de Gaulle. She was an expert in French history. And de Gaulle, afterwards, de Gaulle said to JFK, "You know, your wife knows more French history than most French people do."
Jackie Kennedy's star power was also on display during visits to India and Pakistan. Back at home, the Kennedys projected an aura of the all-American family.
There's a wonderful picture of when JFK comes back from his triumphant trip to Berlin and Ireland, and he gets off of the helicopter in Hyannisport, and she rushes up, and they throw their arms around each other and give this incredible hug. It was the first kind of picture like that in 3 years.
But in private, the truth was often more complicated.
For many years, she had to pretend that her marriage was perfect, and which of course it wasn't. And she knew, even when she got married, she knew that her husband had a reputation as a womanizer.
To escape the pressures of Washington, the first couple often invited close friends to relax out on the water near the president's Hyannisport home on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Jackie Kennedy was more at home on horseback, an experience she was eager to share with her children, Caroline and John Jr. It was Jackie Kennedy who, a week after her husband's assassination, compared their time in the White House to Camelot.
Jackie was already thinking about his place in history and his judgment by what Kennedy called the High Court of History.
That once there was a fleeting wisp of glory called Camelot.
Many historians see John Kennedy's Camelot legacy as a complementary mix of style and substance.
In his final months, he had finally done what Robert Frost, the poet, had urged him to do in his poem at the inaugural, which is to marry poetry to power.
On the 50th anniversary of his death, the Age of Camelot remains an important part of John Kennedy's legacy. Jim Malone, VOA News, Washington.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered during the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com.